Hey guys, this is the Colin O'Reilly Show. Welcome back. I am still Colin O'Reilly. This week I'm going to be talking about hypnotism, its origins, its history, its modern day, current applications, some of which I think you're going to find totally fascinating. And again, closing us out this week, I will be discussing the unending cosmic space saga of the UFOs in the skies of New Jersey. This is like the fourth week now in a row. And according to reports on the news and social media sites, these mystery craft are still being spotted. And Trump said this week in a press conference that on his first day in office after being sworn in, he will release all the secret information that the government is hiding about the mystery drones of New Jersey. Fascinating stuff. By the end of this episode, you will be a master hypnotist with an encyclopedic knowledge of the New Jersey mystery UFOs, and that's probably something you can add to your resume. And I just wanted to send out all the positive vibes that I can to LA. I went to college down there. I worked and lived there in Santa Monica and Venice for a million years. I moved down there during the pandemic and hung out in Venice and rode my motorcycle all day through the Palisades doing Uber Eats, and I loved it. It was such nice neighborhoods. It's so beautiful, and just to see those pictures is heartbreaking. I can't imagine what they're going through right now. I feel so guilty for not being there or being able to help. At least it sounds like they have a ton of volunteers. Um, and yeah, I just hope they get through this time okay. If anyone out there is listening to this podcast who's in Los Angeles right now, I would say you should move to Portland. It's super cheap. It's super cold. There are a lot of forest fires in the suburbs, but if you stay downtown, it's all non-forest fiery down here. So it's pretty cool, but not as cool as hypnotism, the most fascinating topic in the world. I've been fascinated by hypnosis, even though I myself have not yet been hypnotized. It is my New Year's resolution. My friend once came over to see my new apartment in Venice Beach, California, like 20 years ago after I graduated college, and we were walking around the beach strand area. There's like this concrete boardwalk bike path thing across the beach, and there would be different performers like jugglers and stuff, and we're walking around, and there's like musicians, and there's a hypnotist, and he's got a crowd, and he's hypnotizing someone. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And we run up there, and he's putting this guy under. He's doing the hypnotist spiel, like you're getting very sleepy, yada yada, and everybody's watching. And as this guy slowly starts to fall into a trance, from in the within the crowd, a random audience member, a guy, it's like a middle-aged guy, looks like a dad, just starts shrieking uncontrollably at the top of his lungs and just takes off running down the beach. And everyone's just like kind of stunned. It's just silence. And this lady in the audience is like, what happened? What was that? And the hypnotist just kind of shrugs it off, and he's like, oh, it's fine. That just happens sometimes. It's no big deal. He'll be fine. I'm sure it's fine. And then just goes back to his act of hypnotizing the person. And that just always stuck in my head. I thought, what happened there? Like, where is that guy? Why did he freak out like that? But there was also, later I saw a Simpsons episode, because there's been a Simpsons episode for everything. And Homer and Marge one night have like a date night, and they go to a restaurant, and there's like a hypnotist there who's doing the same kind of thing, and the same thing happens. He's hypnotizing someone, or maybe he's hypnotizing Homer, but at one point Homer just starts screaming uncontrollably, and there's like a funny thing where they go through the dinner and he's screaming, and they leave the restaurant, he's still screaming, gets the valet, ticket to the guy, gets his car, he's still screaming, goes home, brushes his teeth, goes to bed, still screaming and shrieking. Then the next day goes to like the hospital or sees the doctor, and the doctor says like, oh, that happens sometimes when people are getting hypnotized and you had a traumatic experience or you witnessed a traumatic event of some kind and you had suppressed it. Hypnotism, even just watching it, not being the subject of the hypnosis, but like, yeah, just watching it from a crowd POV can sort of just cause your mind to reset or no longer be able to contain whatever horrible thing you were suppressing, and your subconscious just starts freaking out and the person can just start shrieking and yelling and run around. I just thought that was fascinating. And because of reactions like that or those kind of side effects, the the actual technique of hypnotism is often shrouded in mystery and misconception. It's pretty simple. It's just the practice of inducing a trance-like state in which a person becomes highly responsive to suggestions. It's a really powerful tool that has been used for therapeutic purposes, entertainment, and even crime investigations and scientific studies into the nature of consciousness. So, how did it all begin? Where did hypnosis start? The history of hypnotism dates back to ancient times. Early references to hypnotic like practices can be found in ancient Egyptian, Greek, and Indian cultures, among many others, where healers would use various techniques to induce trance like states for healing or spiritual purposes. In the late 18th century, the modern history of hypnotism began with someone named Franz Mesmer. And you can see where the term mesmerize comes from. He was an Austrian physician who developed a theory called animal magnetism. Mesmer believed that an invisible force flowed through all living things and that this force could be manipulated to heal illnesses. His techniques, known as mesmerism, involved the use of magnets, hand movements, and intense concentration to induce a trance state. And while his other theories involving the magnets and the hand movements were later forgotten and tossed out, his work did lay the foundation for the development of what would become modern hypnotism as we know it today. In the late 19th century, Scottish surgeon James Braid is credited with coining the term hypnotism. It's derived from the Greek word hypnos, meaning sleep. Braid conducted experiments that demonstrated the effectiveness of hypnotic techniques in inducing a trance, which he referred to as nervous sleep. He discovered that focused attention and suggestion played key roles in achieving this state. I did some research on what people who have been hypnotized say that it's like, and I thought it was pretty interesting. I'm gonna describe it here. They kind of list it in different stages. They often describe being hypnotized as a unique and deeply relaxing experience. Here are some common sensations and perceptions reported by those who have undergone hypnosis. One is, they say, deep relaxation. Many people feel an intense sense of both physically and mental extreme relaxation. It's almost as if, they say, compared to the feeling you get just before falling asleep or during a deep meditation. Which seems to make sense. Second, they say, is heightened focus. While in a hypnotic state, individuals often experience a heightened sense of focus and concentration. They can become deeply absorbed in the hypnotist's words and suggestions, tuning out external distractions. Uh, Third, they say, is altered awareness. Some describe a sense of where they feel detached from their surroundings but still aware of them, as if being in like a dreamlike state where reality feels slightly different or off somehow. Next up is time distortion. A perception of time can change drastically, they say, during hypnosis. Some people feel that time has slowed down, while others may feel that it has sped up significantly. A session that lasts an hour might feel like just a few minutes to some, and then reverse that for others. Another common theme that is mentioned is I thought this was really interesting. Enhanced imagination. People often report vivid imagery and enhanced imagination. They might visualize scenes, colors, or experiences more vividly than usual, guided by the hypnotist's suggestions. And next up, we have physical sensations. Some people experience uh, feelings such as tingling, warmth, or a feeling of lightness. They say these sensations can vary widely from person to person. Another one mentioned is emotional release. Hypnosis can sometimes lead to extreme emotional release, they say, where individuals feel a sense of great catharsis or relief from pent up emotions. This is often a therapeutic aspect of hypnotherapy and ties back to we could see where that guy on Venice Beach or Homer Simpson started just freaking out and shrieking when they were exposed to hypnosis because it sort of unleashed their subconscious, some tragic event they had witnessed in their past and buried within their mind and never dealt with. And last but not least, we have memory recall. During hypnosis, some people can access memories that are often difficult to recall, or they are able to remember or recall minute details about an event that the average person might not be able to remember unless they were being hypnotized. And that brings us up to modern times today, where hypnosis has found its way into some really unconventional and interesting areas of modern society. I think you guys will find really interesting. For example, this is one we've all heard of before, past life regression. It involves using hypnosis to access memories of our past lives, which some people believe can influence our present day behaviors and experiences. On Amazon, this is kind of random, but on Amazon, the website where you can buy books or whatever, they have a lot of self published books. And there are a ton of books by doctors who have used hypnosis in various aspects of medicine and have seemed to sort of stumble into the world of past life hypnotic regression, and it's really fascinating. There are just dozens and dozens of books. Next time you're on Amazon, you guys should totally check them out. If I was a better podcast host, I would have some titles to suggest. But there's a zillion out there, and it's fascinating. It makes me wonder if there's something to it, which I totally think that there is. Another aspect of modern day society that hypnosis has sort of become a centerpiece of is alien abduction recall. Experiencers who are people that say they have been abducted or interacted with aliens or UFOs will often use hypnosis or hypnotherapy to access what they call blocked memories or hidden experiences in which an event may be very traumatic for a person And so the aliens will somehow wipe the person's memory and drop them off on the side of the road after doing God knows what to them. And the person, the experiencer, will come to and realize they're missing several hours, or in extreme cases could be even days or a week, and they won't know how to account for this. They call it missing time. And so they'll go to a hypnotist who will put them under and help walk them through what they often relive as a really often traumatic or frightening experience, just as it would be for probably just a random animal in a forest that a human scientist plucks up out of nowhere and does some experiments on before they toss it back out into the wilderness. Another cool story I had once read about, it was researched and recorded by John Mack, who was the head of psychiatry at Harvard, and he studied experiencers for a while and wrote a couple of books about them. And he would research and talk a lot about the hypnotic aspects of regressing these experiencers. And he told one story in which I thought this was so interesting. A hypnotherapist was regressing someone who thought they had been abducted by aliens, and during the hypnotic session, when the patient was recalling his to him was a terrifying interaction, abduction for some unknown medical testing or scientific testing purposes by these aliens. But as the patient is recalling his experience to the hypnotherapist, the aliens within the memory that the patient is recalling begin to speak through the patient to the hypnotherapist, kind of being like, mind your own business, stop, doing this, don't hypnotize this guy anymore, these are our secrets or whatever. Another way that I think is really interesting that hypnosis has been used is solving crimes. Hypnosis has been used in criminal investigations to help with witnesses or victims recall details of traumatic events or crimes, and this has often led to breakthroughs in cases by uncovering crucial information a person might not otherwise be able to recall without being placed into a trance. And I wonder also sometimes if you could reverse that and like hypnotize like a detective before they go out to try to solve a case, be like, hypnotize them to make them think like you will remember everything and you'll be super smart. I wonder if it could like enhance a police or first responders uh, experience on the job in some way. I think that'd be really cool. Another aspect I find super fascinating about this topic is how it might relate to the study of consciousness. Hypnosis, I think, can offer a super unique window into the nature of consciousness. The placebo effect, for example, suggests a mind body connection that we don't fully understand or understand at all. And hypnosis could maybe hold clues, I think, to this connection. Researchers are studying how hypnosis can be used in placebo like experiments to help patients heal wounds faster, or possibly come up with new or novel, insightful techniques to cure diseases themselves. If you were to hypnotize a doctor or a researcher, could you help them to expand their own mind or consciousness a little bit to maybe come up with a, you know, cool way to fight cancer, or multiple sclerosis or something. I think that could be super cool. Or maybe even in the future, your doctor would be like a hypnotist, and you go to the hospital and have like the flu, and your doctor would just hypnotize you and be like, "No, you don't. You're all better now." Be like hypnosis meets the placebo effect. It'd be awesome. And of course, no discussion of hypnosis would be complete without mentioning the infamous MK Ultra program. MK Ultra was a series of mind control experiments conducted by the CIA during the Cold War. These experiments, which included the use of hypnosis, aimed to explore ways to control human behavior. Congress eventually banned the research, but it left a legacy of hypnosis conspiracy theories, and I love them. One of my favorites is that people who work at secret government places like Area 51 or wherever, or who work for corporations doing crazy top secret science stuff, that they get hypnotized, but so they forget and can't spill the beans on whatever it is they're working on. And that's called hypnotic amnesia, which I think is just the coolest thing ever. Or maybe, there's a conspiracy theory that you could have just like Navy SEAL ninjas out there living normal lives, and then if war breaks out, they hear some, hypnotic code word that sort of snaps them into born identity mode. I just think that's so cool and fascinating. Now, what about the future? Where is hypnosis headed? I think some pretty crazy cool areas you might not have thought of yet. First up, I'm I'm obviously fascinated by AI. I've talked about it a lot in a lot of my podcasts. I do think it is the future. Um, I think it is growing at such a exponential rate, and it's not really even. I heard one computer scientist talking about it, and he said, he thought AI wasn't really a tool because it's a technological advancement that can make decisions on its own. An AI can dream, it can lie, it can joke, it can even hallucinate, and so it makes me wonder: could it be hypnotized to reveal secrets? Could it be hypno-hacked? And could that concept or theory be reversed and be turned around on humans? Could a rogue AI or a foreign powers military AI be unleashed upon a person or population to hypnotize them for whatever nefarious purpose, whether it's crime or war? Speaking of crime, I pitched a TV show on this a million years ago. Shout out to Justin Killian if he's out there listening. But there is, in the underworld of crime or whatever, apparently this started in Eastern Europe. They call it sleight of mouth. And this phenomenon involves criminals using covert hypnosis to commit crimes, rob banks, jewelry stores, and to pull off either low level or very high end heists. By engaging tellers or cashiers in seemingly normal conversations, a criminal can conversationally hypnotize a victim into accepting blank pieces of paper as payment for high-end items, or even freely giving away diamonds or jewelry, large amounts of cash to an undercover hypnotist using sleight of mouth. I think that's so cool. There's been a couple of news stories I followed on this over the years, and it's tough to find a bunch of info. Maybe the government doesn't want people knowing or learning they can just hypnotize random people and take stuff. I totally get that. But yeah, I think it's the coolest thing ever. They call it a sleight of mouth. And you can see on YouTube, there's a bunch of videos. There's a British guy who's really good. He used to have a television show on here on basic cable here in the States. I think for a season or two, but he does conversational hypnosis, and he'll walk into a fancy jewelry store and buy a bunch of high-end items and pay for them just using blank pieces of paper. And you can see him, sometimes it's really, really quick. He'll just randomly hypnotize somebody and they'll just do whatever he says. It's like having a superpower, I think. I just think it's the craziest thing in the world. It's yeah, the most interesting thing I've ever done research on. And I think the more time and money that scientists spend looking into this phenomenon will help us understand not only the mind-body connection better, but human consciousness as a whole, and artificial intelligence or artificial consciousness as well. And that brings us to our closing story of the show, our final story of the evening, just like it's been every week for the past 5 weeks in a row. The mystery drones of New Jersey, New York, and now the world. They're still being spotted in the skies. As a matter of fact, my friend Nick this week emailed me a picture of a drone type looking object, but still looked just like a little bit off from a drone, as a lot of these are. His son spotted it up in the sky, and then later that night his wife saw another one, and they got a picture of one of them. I don't know if the picture, I can't remember, is from the first or second sighting. He said it was low noise. And yeah, I mean, they live in New Jersey. It seems like, according to what I see on social media sites, everybody's seeing these things. And now this week, Trump, at his weekly press conference or whatever, I guess it is, he says on the first day of his presidency, as soon as he's sworn in, which is, I think, in just a week or two, but he says as soon as he's sworn in on this first day, he's going to release information that he states the Biden administration and the Pentagon are withholding from the public. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see. If it's some sort of alien UFO unknown technology, I wonder how the public is going to react. So far, it seems like the story's sort of kind of been falling off the radar. And understandably, there's a lot of terrible things going on in the world. But if the new president in a few weeks comes out and says there's some sort of alien craft in the skies of New Jersey, that will definitely put it back onto the front page of every newspaper in the world. That's it for the show. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, as the kids say. I'm everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube. You can follow me on social media. I really hope they don't ban TikTok. Has so many great UFO videos, so if it does get banned, that's obviously the reason. Thank you so much. I hope you see a UFO this week. I'll be back next week on more of a regular time schedule, barring any more natural disasters that make me too sad to record. The best week ever. Later.